Happy to have Linda Brown with Ricoh today. She's going to present Empowered Real-Time Collaboration. This is her second go-round, so she's got it down to a pat. So we look forward to all the information, and thank you, Melissa and Linda, for helping us with the Did You Know webinar series. And I'm going to go ahead and let you get started.
Terrific. Hi, everyone, and welcome to our Empower Real-Time Collaboration seminar today. My name is Linda Brown, and I'm the Vice President of the Visual Communications Group for Ricoh across the United States. And I am joined by Melissa Whitson. She is located in actually South Carolina, and she's our Regional Visual Communication Consultant for your area. And we're really honored to participate and join the webinar today in partnership with Sistel and bring you a hopefully very educational webinar for you, as our products really lend themselves to remote collaboration and communication. And we've been really busy talking to companies, even around the United States, even prior to the lockdown, with their needs for visual communications, interactive flat panels. But since the pandemic, we've experienced a dramatic increase as a result of the lockdown and as a result of the transition to work from home. So now, depending on where you are and what state and what county you're in your local guidelines, we're working with companies now to come out of that shutdown and return back to the office environment. And what we found, throughout these unprecedented times is that there's a massive shift in business priorities, and companies are developing plans to operate in unconventional ways, really out of necessity. And the ability to communicate with your staff, your employees, your vendors, partners, and your customers is really vital to the survival of your business. So with that, this is what the agenda looks like for today. We're going to be talking about navigating the next normal, or sometimes it's referred to as the new normal. And we'll share some research that Ricoh has done with our business partners and with our customers on what those business challenges are, and those that have been created by the pandemic. We're going to share with you collaboration technology, so you learn how visual communication technology can bring those teams together and keep innovative ideas moving forward. Things like presentation, teaching, brainstorming, to really improve employee productivity. And my favorite part about the presentation, to get a better understanding of real live best practices and practical applications and use case studies. So we'll share with you some real customer engagements that we've had, and we're looking at it by vertical and in those vertical markets. And then we'll have a summary. And I have Melissa here. She is going to monitor the chat session. So if you have any questions throughout the presentation, you can type them in and Melissa can respond right immediately on the spot to you. We'll also take a pause naturally in the presentation, maybe once or twice. If there are any questions, you can ask them away and we can have a more detailed conversation, or you can hold it towards the end. We'll open up the line at the end of the presentation as well. So with that, we're going to talk about the next normal. So as I had mentioned, just like state and local governments all over the United States, there are companies of all sizes, from small, medium business to large enterprise companies, that are wrestling with very similar business challenges. So there are common themes that that companies are experiencing, and these themes are listed really here on the right-hand side. These are all the common themes that we'll talk about. And what we did is we surveyed at Ricoh 50 customers of Ricoh, and those customers are of different sizes. And the top two very prevalent, top of mind themes and challenges that they've had are about business continuity and employee well-being. So and that's going into the lockdown and certainly coming out of the lockdown. And we know that another key piece is that campuses, employer campuses across the country are about 50 to 90% empty, especially in those high-risk urban areas. And so remote working in today's norm is really the norm. And the companies are looking at better ways to effectively communicate with their employees. So, with that, the remote working piece is critical. But the other key pieces is how do we effectively communicate? How do we really engage in a conversation? So if we look at where employees are today working from home and they want to increase that remote working, maybe some will come back in the next 90 days, maybe depending on, again, where you are in your local area. Like I'm actually calling from Southern California, and just yesterday our governor announced that we're moving back towards a lockdown. So unless you're an essential business, you can no longer go back into your office. So we have to be flexible in our engagement and our process of how do we work together effectively, but really that engagement piece. So that means meetings, conversations will have to change. So what kind of technology can help customers, either existing in person and remote, really optimize that employee engagement? And I'm hoping that that maybe resonates with you and with your employees. And what we would like to do together, Ricoh as well as Sistel, is we'd like to help you with these challenges. So our approach and desired outcomes are really to engage the next new work environment. And they're centered around, you can see these 5 components here and these outcomes. Certainly employee satisfaction. So we want to improve employee satisfaction by delivering more choice, more flexibility, and absolutely having safety. Safety and well-being of the employee is very important. Either you're working from home or from that office, but certainly mobility and employee productivity and that engagement is top of mind. Now, from an employer standpoint, cost reduction, so giving companies savings through maybe less real estate, less sick leave, and that happens through tools like video conferencing, like what we're on today. We're on a Zoom call today, and enabling that for your employees, which would lead to less travel time, right? So you're not moving to different locations. You don't have to be co-located and face-to-face to have an effective meeting. And certainly having the right technology at the right place and optimizing that, and it has to be easy to use. So like this call, it started within 1 minute. So assuming everybody, if you were in a conference room, everybody arrived on time. Well, I can tell you that I've had a lot of meetings. We call it a meeting tax, and sometimes it's between 10 and 15 minutes where people are trying to get on the technology, video calls, maybe it's a webinar, and I don't have the right plugin. I have to download certain add-ons. So you have to have the right technology to be able to start on time to ensure productivity. And the key piece about it all is how do we foster collaboration and innovation? The ability to collaborate in a dynamic and mobile environment is absolutely crucial. So later on at the end, towards the end of the presentation, you'll hear from real customer case studies that have demonstrated where collaboration is really key to their success and how they've used this technology to change their process. And effectively, you'll see some very interesting ones where they've actually had better outcomes in their business. So I am going to now move on to, what is the technology? So the technology is one where it incorporates video, voice, data, and touch into the experience. So you need that multi-sensory engagement to be truly effective and that all participants, be it colleagues that are remote or customers that are truly maybe not on your network or engaged in your and able to come to your own meeting facility. But those are the participants that no longer sit around a table, but you want to be face-to-face with. So in order for us to reap the rewards of simulating a virtual engagement, we have to have that balance, and the balance must take into account social interactions, a creative environment where engagement with remote workers is enabled. So that means a whole new set of hardware and software and solutions to be able to bring those workers together, have that touch experience, as well as video, voice, and data. And then these are really the objectives you can see here of what we're trying to accomplish. So one key piece of that information is an interactive flat panel display. I'm actually presenting on one right now, so you might see my hand move around as I engage on that touch feature. And so what does it need to be? It needs to be very simple to use. So the engagement there isn't complex, and it's for any office worker, any worker to come in and use quickly. The other key component is it often is enhanced by software solutions. So you need, an employee needs to have the right software that you use every single day enabled on a board like this. So I'll give you an example. We work a lot with engineering firms. So inside of an engineering firm, you need to have the capability to have some type of CAD software, and it needs to be loaded on an interactive flat panel so that, now it becomes a large format, touch-enabled computer. So those are the flexible solutions to include to meet those customer needs. And, often these boards are either mounted on a wall, they could be on a stand, so that you have flexibility. You can move them from huddle room to huddle room, or maybe it's a very large board that you'll put inside of the boardroom. But the ability that's required, it needs to be able to meet, collaborate, and share from anywhere inside the enterprise and across the world, so that it enables remote collaboration. So as I said, this is our Ricoh portfolio. As I said, I'm actually presenting on this 32-inch board today. It's our D3210BK. And the portfolio includes 5 models, all the way up to our 86-inch size model. We've actually been in this business for 10 years. We initially started in projection, but as our customer requirements have evolved, they've changed, we brought more innovation to the market to meet those customer requirements. And we've launched this entire line of flat panel displays about 6 years ago. And actually, this is our 3rd generation portfolio and they're interactive, they're collaborative touchscreen displays that allow you to annotate, to mark up, and it gives you the ability to exchange ideas in real time. So as I said, that this is the range, goes up to 4K resolution. And the other key piece about this is each one of our interactive flat panel displays has an optional Windows 10 controller that you can add on to the board. So what does that do? It integrates actually into the back of the board. There are no wires. It's a very clean design. It's called an OPS, and it just slides into a slot, very clean. But it enables the IFPD to perform just like a Windows PC. So you can add on your preferred Windows software, applications, any cloud-based software that you may use on that daily basis. So it's easy to implement, easy to use, and certainly easy to learn. And the key for IT is it's very simple, and it acts like a Windows asset on the network. So I'm gonna pause here for a moment and ask Melissa, or if there are any questions that you may have right now.
No chats have come through.
Okay, so if you have any questions, just chat them through and Melissa will answer them real time as well. So video conferencing, this is the second component of a very strong visual communication strategy inside your company. And video conferencing has become an absolute critical tool during the pandemic. So we lost the ability to meet face-to-face in most businesses in most vertical industries. And there was a very quick movement to adopt video conferencing. And maybe you already had the service inside your company, but hadn't quite enabled it, or maybe just had the audio function. But now, because of the pandemic, it's more broadly used and certainly adopted inside of companies. So at Ricoh, we have our own video conferencing service. It's called UCS Advanced. And there are a few things that set us apart from other video conferencing services. Ours is a cloud-based service, and it gives the customer immediate access to the service through any computer, a Mac, a PC, a tablet, any operating system, iOS, Android, any browser, and it also is accessible via any traditional video conferencing system. It connects up through Skype for Business. We can actually have up to 100-person virtual meeting room, so 100 seats. And it connects with, or it has the ability for recorded streaming and recording, live streaming, and all guest participants can come in, and it's standard with no additional cost. So that's all included in the package. It's actually a highly secure with over 16 points of presence around the globe, and it's on its own private network. So you're not competing with network time, and thus less interruptions, less breaks in service and coverage, and it's a fantastic tool. So the third component that now I'm going to talk about is software and software solutions to add and enhance that video collaboration strategy that you have. And the first one that I'm going to talk about is actually collaboration. And inside of collaboration, we have two software packages that I'm going to talk to you about. The first one is IWB Lite software, and the second one is our remote license. IWB Lite software, it's actually included when you buy an interactive flat panel, and it's an application software that gives you secure whiteboarding, document editing across a common network. So it gives you a full suite of annotation tools, shapes, text tools, writing, enlargement, reductions. And actually, I am presenting inside of our IWB Lite software today. So just to give you a quick snapshot here, I think you can see this, but you can see all different colors, highlighters. I can do different size widths of lines that I choose. I can make it a grid or just a white background, various simple lines, dotted lines, arrows, and a whole tool set of different shapes and stamps that I can, through one submenu, one click, that I can add into any presentation at any time. And then I won't go through them all, but redo, undo, I can erase with the palm of my hand. It's very intuitive. So very simple for brainstorming, or really enforcing your point. So I have the ability really to enforce, because I'm not standing in front of you, you can't see my board of what I'm pointing to on the wall, but I can accent it. I'm using a pen, I can use my finger, and I can accent that through the use of touch. So better engagement. And this amplifies itself. Say you're in an engineering environment, you're looking at a drawing and you're blowing it up and you want to talk about moving and changing, or you're a designer, you can bring up tile and show various different things and really write on
Did Linda drop off?
Yeah, she actually froze. Linda, if you can hear us, you froze. You might need to log off and log back on.
boards at one time, and the annotations that I show here show up on that board as well. And if they want to annotate on the same document, it's bidirectional, so I'll see the annotations. So very strong remote license if you want to connect remote locations and remote users. So the third piece of software that I'm going to talk about is Quick Launch. And that's a software program that's also optional, and it's designed to simplify a home screen. So we see this often in AV rooms or sometimes in boardrooms when companies want to lock down the applications used on an interactive flat panel on the home screen. So as an example, it's all customizable, but maybe a company just wants 3 simple software solutions or packages for an interactive flat panel. Maybe it's PowerPoint, it's access to the internet, and it's a the standard video conferencing capability. So each one has an icon. The end user walks up to the board, they simply push on that icon and it launches into that package. So again, it reduces training required for the interactive flat panel. It's a very simple model in user interface. The fourth software that I'm going to talk about is Reactive Stage. And this is actually a presentation software, and it's designed to simplify a presentation when you're using multiple file types. So it's sometimes it might be difficult to explain. It's better if you actually see a demo of it. So if anytime you want a demo, we can certainly, as partnering with your Sistel sales rep, provide that demo to you. But it doesn't matter what the native file is. It can be PowerPoint, Word, Excel, maybe PDF pages. It could be a still image like a GIF, a TIFF, a JPEG. Maybe you want to throw in an internet site or even a video. And what Reactive Stage does, it works together with them all at the same time so that you're not moving in and out of a software package. You can stay inside that Reactive Stage ecosystem, and you can instantly jump between files without any delay. So it's a faster paced presentation, and it's very dynamic. It's super cool if you're involved in training and presentations and even in the office environment. Now the fifth and the sixth software that I'm going to talk about is education software. So I'm not sure if I have any education customers here on the line, but these are actually for the K through 12 education focus. And the first one I'll talk about is Octopus. And that's a software that combines whiteboarding, lesson plans, student collaboration, polling capabilities, and it's actually resides on our controller on the interactive flat panels. And it also includes up to 10,000 certified lesson plans. So content for teachers that are Common Core certified for your local state. And also has lots of teaching tools. And one of the key things that we've had feedback from our customers are More in the entry-level grades, K through 4, it has a very robust gaming feature on it, so educational games. And the other key piece about this is if you're today maybe using Smart or Promethean and you've had them that's your legacy system, Octopus can read those files. So you can move away from a proprietary system into this open platform with Windows and Octopus, but still migrate your content over from Smart and Promethean. The other educational software that we sell, and that's actually included on, both of these are included on our education controller, is Zimbus. Now this is a cloud-based software, and it also has lesson plans, presentation, collaborative whiteboarding, but it also integrates inside the classroom. And we have 2 flavors. One flavored focus on the G Suite, Google Classroom, and the other one is a Microsoft Office 365 version, if you're using OneDrive or Teams or Office. And the key there is that today, especially with, depending on where your state is on return to school, that Zimbus is cloud-based, and it has some very robust teaching tools inside. So the teachers can monitor student progress. They can incorporate polling, certainly whiteboard functionality, annotation tools, but the teacher can actually monitor how long a student was on a specific project, how long were they on it, what time of day, and they can then provide feedback back to that student. They can help that student and understand more about the student's abilities. So that's our software. I am now going to go over into vertical applications. So when we look at where we place our interactive flat panel displays, certainly in small huddle rooms and conference rooms, but we want you to think outside the conference room and highlight some verticals and where we've had success. So what you'll find here is we're actually trying to change the corporate culture and corporate thinking that we work with, and looking for ways to help companies outside just thinking of them as training tools or visual presentation tools. So the majority of what we'll talk about inside these verticals are really collaboration and communication in different ways. So we'll go through architecture, construction, and engineering, education, both as it relates to K through 12 as well as higher ed. We'll talk about state and local government, healthcare and medical, and manufacturing we'll talk about as part of our architecture, engineering, and construction. And absolutely, we've had a lot of success in the legal market. So with that, we will dive in deeper, and we'll start off with collaboration in education, K through 12 and higher ed. We'll first talk about use cases, and then we'll go into an actual true real live customer case study. So hopefully this will have you thinking about inside your environment, how can you change your culture? How can you have more productivity, be it inside your classroom, inside your lecture hall, or inside your office and working with customers. So as it relates to education, we'll start here, and what we're focused on with education is really enhancing the student-teacher experience. So within the classroom and with curriculum, the goal is to empower teachers with the latest tools. And flat panels, video communications, actually education and teachers and classrooms are early adopters to this technology. This technologies in a lot of schools across the country has been in place for, I'd say, 5 to 7 years, but it has been evolving. So now is the time that we see a lot of schools are upgrading their technology because they're looking at broader applications. So the natural one is inside of classrooms. So while assignments, written instruction can be helpful in today's climate, really participation and interaction will always give students the best ability to succeed. So to engage students, teachers need classroom technology that enables them to capture the student's attention in a variety of different teaching styles. So the ability to show videos, to add notes, to highlight key points, connect on the internet, connect with them in class or remotely via one-to-one computing devices. That's all becoming so much more popular to engage that student, because now we're teaching them with the tools that they grew up with, that they've learned with. And the other, I won't go through all of these, but the other really key piece here is distance learning. And this is now really becoming extremely important. E-learning, distance learning, remote learning, there are a few different ways of talking about it. But how can a teacher engage with the student who may not be sitting in their classroom? So depending on where you are, what your local district is, I know that the month of July, most school districts are coming out with their fall plan, that what they're putting in place, be it in person, a hybrid, or potentially it's all remote. I know down here, north of me is Los Angeles, south of me is San Diego, and they have both announced yesterday that all public schools will have remote learning online. So how does that teacher now engage effectively with that online experience? I know if you dial back to March, it was one where it was a little bit of a hurried, very quick, what do we put in place with distance learning? Not all students have Chromebooks, not all students have home computers, not all students have internet. So teachers now, back then it was a scramble, again, depending on where you are, but now districts are engaging real strategies about effective distance learning and putting that in place. And one of the key components is software and the ability with teaching tools. The other one I don't want to forget, which is outside the box thinking, is school sports. So we've sold, especially in the higher education, we've sold a lot of our smaller footprint 32-inch and what was previously our 22-inch board to athletic departments. So they use these boards in their mainly athletic programs like football, where they use them as telestrators. And the coaches are using them to teach students or to teach their assistant coaches, where they're running video. They stop, they mark up the video and discuss what the play could be, should be, or where they want to go with it. So we have a lot of units placed inside of school athletic departments at the higher ed, as well as actually at the professional rankings as well, in professional football teams. So with that, I'm going to move to a case study that's with Shorter College. And Shorter College is located in Little Rock, Arkansas, and their mission is to provide smaller, more intimate classroom environment with knowledgeable faculty that empowers students to pursue academic excellence. Their challenge is that they really had a handful of older interactive flat panel displays on their campus that really weren't working and they weren't able to repair. They were used by instructors as monitors, so they would just hook up their laptops to them and display the content across the interactive flat panel. They weren't large enough for students to see, especially in the back. And so to enhance that classroom visual communication experience, Shorter College engaged the Ricoh team. We provided a needs assessment, and the outcome and the solution was really larger, truly interactive flat panels. They were embedded with Windows 10 controllers so that each board could operate independently and no longer needed that laptop to be able to perform. So now the classrooms and the lectures were coming alive. They actually had the ability to engage and collaborate and show them through streaming video, internet searches, document presentations, and they were on large enough whiteboards that the students could see, and they were now becoming engaged. So back to the student-teacher experience and the engagement, which is the key focus, and that's our goal for education, and certainly achieve the requirement for shorter college. So next up, I am going to touch on manufacturing, engineering, architecture, and construction. So when we talk about these, the majority of customers use some type of 3D software application, AutoCAD, maybe it's Bluebeam or some other form, and that software really needs to be loaded and enabled on that interactive flat panel. And they're looking to have business-related discussions and communicate with their locations. So it's important to visually see and the ability to mark up drawings pertaining maybe to a specific engineering project, and that they need a way to monitor the progress of if their headquarter location and their construction site location, they can share that document together remotely, connecting with two-way real-time collaboration so that they can monitor progress and certainly effectively communicate while being remote and not at the same time. So you don't have to have your on-site workers continuously motor and travel to the headquarter location for decisions required. And with that, I'm actually going to move on to the case study. That is a NASCAR motorsport team that has embraced our technology and distributed it throughout their campus. So some of you may follow NASCAR, and you may be familiar with Hendrick Motorsport. And they're out of North Carolina, and they are a very successful NASCAR racing team. Melissa Whitson, who's on the phone, I think you can see Melissa. She was actually an integral part of the entire team that worked together with HMS and what the requirements were. So she first sat down with the team and learned that collaboration between the HMS engineers, their designers, their fabricators, and their mechanics was mainly manual and required many steps. You may or may not do this in your own company or inside your own school, but they use traditional wall-mounted dry erase boards. So what would happen in a meeting, they would have comments, they would brainstorm, they had large post-it notepads that they put up on the meeting walls that they collaborate and brainstorm with. And what happened when the meeting ended? They pulled out their remote or their little mobile phones, and they would take pictures. And then they would send those pictures to the attendees, and that's how they would track progress in their projects. So after multiple meetings, what happens? Sometimes there's confusion. Now, which was the right one? Where are we on that project element? And it was difficult to track. It was difficult to figure out what's the most recent. Plus, people have to go back and manually now, every individual of that meeting has to manually look at and track and maybe sometimes transition and translate over to an electronic form. So those were really their challenges. Now, the solution that was, so the challenges, right? The lack of interactive technology, the manual step-by-step process that they used, and then they didn't really have vibrant projection technology to display their race footage. So they implemented Ricoh interactive flat panels, also some of our high-end projection systems in their training department, at their pit crews, also at their engineering, fabrication, mechanical design locations. inside their vast campus. They have over 100 square mile campus. So movement from building to building takes a lot of time. So with the capability of interactive collaborative technology, now they don't have to travel face to face. They can stay in their departments. They no longer use that manual process. Everything is captured on the interactive flat panel, and now their meetings are tracked. They have all of their document and design is now captured, and they can distribute it electronically immediately after the meeting. So, and they can go back to doing what they do best, which is building incredible race cars and winning championships. So if you haven't seen our video yet, and there's an entire section on our Ricoh USA website that is dedicated to the case study of Hendrick Motorsports. And there are videos there, and you can really see the impact that it's made at this client. So now I'm going to go into and talk about the medical and the healthcare aspects and the use cases inside of this vertical. So there are multiple ways you can utilize IFPD and visual communication technology inside of medical. And one of them is patient status and rounds messaging. So some hospitals still use dry erase boards to track patient progress and physician rounds and their schedules. The patient list, if using an interactive flat panel, can be imported into the IFPD. It can be opened in IWB Lite, the software that I'm using. It can be marked up. It can be saved as a PDF file so that you can have consistent and constant updates throughout the day, instead of erasing on the board and then adding new. So it now becomes more efficient. And certainly, I want to talk about these next two, as well as so communicating between affiliates and clinics, as well as telehealth. Telehealth is now, because of the pandemic, an emerging use case for us, and certainly inside of this vertical. So you can use this communication tool between affiliated hospitals and between clinics, as well as faculty members. So if you're needing a consult, and maybe that specialist is located in a different hospital, so instead of traveling to the adjacent hospital of that facility, you can communicate and collaborate back and forth on a case by marking it up, maybe adding an x-ray to the digital x-ray onto the flat panel, showing the client or showing that patient where the challenge is, or what the next steps are for that patient. So the ability to interact via video, as well as having that content and that touch display, is critical. And that's where it's helping inside of the telehealth world. So the case study. This is actually, we haven't published this case study, but it's a physical and behavioral center, a health center located in the state of Indiana. And their biggest challenge was their communication between their different locations and the time-consuming travel that they have for their staff, as well as for their patients. So this is a case where there were many specialists traveling between their different locations, as well as their patients maybe had to go to a different location for specialization. The other piece that they were challenged with was on their administration side. So their board meetings were always mandated to be face-to-face. And they were often canceled multiple times in a given month because of scheduling difficulties, which caused delays in their process and their administration and their decision-making. So what they started off with a few interactive flat panels, and now they've actually deployed them throughout their entire multiple locations. And it helps with, again, it helps with their specialists don't need to travel to remote locations. They have those remote sessions with their patients. And also they're saving on travel as well as efficiency for their board members. They no longer require face-to-face meetings. So now their board meetings are always on time in a given month, and they can be remote sessions. So they felt that technology was mission critical to their success, and they have continuously rolled out more of these devices because they've seen the value in many different use case scenarios. And ultimately, it's changing their culture and how they're working, and they're thinking differently, and thus saving a lot of money for the organization. The next vertical that we're going to talk about is state and local government. So SLG. There are also many use cases here, multiple ways to use the technology within a city. And I'm only going to highlight a few here, but certainly city council meetings and city planning. So for city planning, many cities still approach their planning sessions in an antiquated manner. They're pulling up blueprints, they put them around a table, and they require everyone to be in the same location. Getting everyone together in one room obviously takes a lot of time, and that may push out a city project by months, maybe sometimes years, depending on internal collaboration, and then if you have third-party contractors that you work with to bring them in and engage them. So it certainly is an opportunity for better collaboration if you're using technology to be faster to market and engaging of internal employees as well as contractors. The other interesting opportunity, and we've seen actually quite a few, is inside of police and fire departments. Obviously, IFPDs can be used to train and educate departments. But where do we go beyond that and improve communication, maybe with cruisers or in-field fire trucks, and connection and collaboration with command centers or the firehouse? So allowing that real-time collaboration with things going on in the field. So I'll give you an example. If maybe there's a project and there's an event that's in your local community and you're planning for the event, and you certainly have traffic routing for that special event. Well, now what happens if there's an unplanned accident? The command center or the field can communicate with the field cruisers. They can bring up a map. They can literally show those police officers in the field and those cruisers maybe where to reroute the traffic and where to go and how to make it flow smoother in a real-time collaboration way. So just one example of what can be done inside of City Hall and planning. And actually, we also have a live case study with this customer. It's also published and out on our website. But the city of Del City, which is located it's a suburb of Oklahoma City, and they have a very large city building that includes city services, courts, and the police. And they actually got one of our flat panels that they use internally for a small huddle room. But what happened when the pandemic hit is they then turned that flat panel actually into an information hub. And they use that flat panel in their daily briefings with 3 other cities, and they're coordinating with their critical emergency response teams. So they have daily data that they share with those EMR teams. They update it live on the interactive flat panel and then publish it out to those three different city EMR teams. So in real live collaboration, this is now really the hub of their spokes out to help them with their emergency response around the pandemic. So it's a real live, relevant case study that's happening in today's environment. So with that, this is my last slide. So I hope you were better able to understand how visual communication technology can empower real-time collaboration and help solve challenges within your company, potentially some ideas and some use cases, some examples that maybe we can help you with our broad portfolio of technology with our interactive flat panels, potentially our video conferencing, and our software solutions. And certainly you can rely on the service and support that we partner together with Sistel to bring to market as a trusted advisor. So we're very honored to present to you today with Sistel and share a bit of the information on the technology, our use cases, and I think probably from a next step perspective, it's really about what your environment is needing, what your company's challenges are. So my suggestion is to reach out to your Sistel account manager and talk to them about what your challenges are. And what we can do is set up a personal demonstration of our visual communication technology. We can do a virtual demo. They can engage our team, Melissa, who's the expert in your area. And certainly we can dive down into and brainstorm with you where this could potentially bring some better productivity, employee productivity to your organization. So with that, I thank you for your time, and we can open it up to questions if there are any. I don't know, Melissa, maybe there were some questions in the chat that you want to share, but we can open that up now, and we appreciate your time.
Give a couple minutes here. See if there are any questions. Thank you, Linda and Melissa, for your assistance today with a wonderful presentation. All right.
Absolutely.
Looks like we don't have any questions. We're on today. Thanks everyone for attending. We do have 3 more seminars this week, starting at 2 p.m. If you go to sisteloa.com and click on the Did You Know webinar series, you'll be able to register for those coming webinars also. Thanks again, Linda and Melissa. You guys have a wonderful day.
Terrific. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Bye-bye.